today. I do feel a bit hot because I've just, it's not, it's because it's the first day of spring, or it feels like it's the first day of spring. The sun is shining, but it's still cold as usual. So I'm overdoing it though. I don't think I needed a thick coat and a thick dress. But anyway, I'm going to try and keep this not too long because I could go on for hours about all these things. This is a let's talk about it. Where do you start? Where do you start at the minute? There is so much going on in the world. And every time I go on social media, especially TikTok, but also Facebook these days, I come away feeling, what's the word? Drained. Drained is the word. So I've stopped spending as much time on certain platforms, but I've definitely stopped engaging as well in certain conversations. There is a lot of racism online, and there is a lot of, and now it is kind of like people see it as acceptable. And you've seen so many stories there was a story about the black footballer who was getting racist abuse on the pitch, and then a little boy, 6-year-old boy, one of the fans, sent him a nice letter. It was so nice, just saying to him, sorry about what happened to you and all this stuff. And it was a little white boy. And what I like about it is that you could tell that his parents had brought him up right. He didn't see colour at that minute. He just saw that he saw injustice at this footballer being racially abused. And he went out of his way then to write that letter. And that, that touched my heart. But then also I've been watching The Traitors Island. And there was one of the contestants. I knew she was African, but she's also got American accent. So I was thinking, I wonder what her background is. She was a refugee from Nigeria, and she came to Ireland at the age, I think she said, of 6. And then they spent time in like detention camps and things. And when she was sharing her story, it's interesting because the amount of hatred that is in the world at the minute, and especially in the UK, I mean, I live in the UK, I was born here, but the amount of like people that justify racist rants, and then they try and say, oh, I'm not racist, or oh, I'm just to me, it is racism, but they don't want to have that label. You can still have an opinion, and you can still have an impression of how you feel. You can still state your views, but when you are making judgments on a whole group of people that, one, you've never met, but two, when it's not even factual. I mean, some of the rubbish, thanks for joining, David, some of the rubbish you see, yesterday someone put Europe was safe before all the immigrants started coming in, and I just, and you yawn and you think, oh, come on come on. They're saying that the whole of Europe, the whole continent was basically safe. So every dangerous and you know what it is? It gets to a point where you just yawn. You have to yawn because, right, thanks for joining, everyone. How's my day going? Good, thanks. This is just me talking about everything that's happening. There's too many things that are happening, and I'm going to try and keep this. Hopefully this won't go on for more than 15-20 minutes, because this could be like an hour-long live stream. You've got the whole... obviously the war. Someone's put, I don't give a shit. Okay. Yeah, well, if you don't really care about like what's happening, whether that's to do with racism, whether it's Trump, whether it's the wars and things, you don't have to care. No one has to make anyone care. You don't have to care. I'm not saying people have to, it's your choice. My personal thing is that sometimes you are impacted by things, sometimes you're not. When I personally go online and I see a model that is just promoting a brand, and then you get people calling them a monkey, or you get people saying, oh, box ticking and all this nonsense, and oh, I'm not buying from that brand because this person is a person of colour. Sometimes you just think, what are you going on about? What is actually happening here? And the thing is, I think at the root of it, at the root of humanity at the minute, is that people have to have someone to hate or have to have someone to fear because of what's going on for them. So if you're a hateful person, or if you're an insecure person, or if your life isn't going the way that it's going, you have to project that hatred towards someone or something. You have to blame someone or something. Because if you have a happy life, or if you have a joyful heart, or you're an empathic person, because to me, I don't hate on someone who hasn't done anything to me, and I don't care about what background they're from. I don't care about how old they are. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you haven't personally impacted on me and you haven't done anything negative to me, why am I going to all of a sudden... I mean, some of the people who are just saying things about people trying to take over the country, this is in the UK, they're saying things like that, or, oh, it's all young Muslims that are destroying the country and stuff. What about the people, what about the doctors that you go to visit and they're from a different ethnicity. What about the shopkeepers that you buy from? And what the worst part about this whole thing, and I'll move on to like the Trump stuff in a minute. And there's what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, but there's loads of other things. But I'll move on in a minute. What's interesting is that people will smile, go to work with people of a different background. This is why the UK, I think, are hypocrites, most of the people who live in the UK, because they'll go to work every day and they'll smile and they'll shake hands with people from different ethnicities. They'll eat the food. They'll go to a curry, go for an Indian or a curry on a Saturday night. They'll be walking down the street and they'll be like, all right, mate, all right, love, all this sort of nonsense. And then behind closed doors, they're using vile language to describe the same people. Behind closed doors, when they're with their mates, they're then using racist language to describe these people. Choose a side. I personally don't have a problem with anyone that doesn't like me. If you don't like me because I'm a black woman, I'm fine with that, because I can't change being I'm not going to like go to sleep tomorrow and then wake up different. I'm a black woman and I'm proud of that. So if you choose to dislike me on that basis alone, I'm fine with it. I'm even fine with people who have racist views and they choose to like, that's their mindset. I'm even fine with that, because that's your choice. The thing what I don't like is hypocrites, people using racist language and then saying, oh, I'm not a racist. People smiling and talking to, oh, my best friend is black. Oh, I've got mixed race children, but then they're still, someone's put, should be proud, love. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the, it's just, everyone should be proud. I'm not even saying just me as a black person, because this is the thing as well. I know that some people in the UK we're all human, exactly, are using these things like, oh, we're the minority now, and they're putting up this nonsense. Birmingham is a good example, and I know that lots of people there's all sorts of Birmingham hate. Oh, Birmingham's should be called Pakistan, or oh, that Birmingham is a super diverse city, okay? Birmingham doesn't represent the whole of the UK, because when my sister went to Guildford, to university, I Googled, obviously, everywhere that my nephew's at Bournemouth. He's a black man. He's the minority in Bournemouth. My niece went to Surrey. 97% white people live in Surrey. No one's like moaning about it. The point is, if you want to go and live somewhere where you don't see a black or brown face, there's plenty of options that you have. You can't then just look at Birmingham, London, Leeds and the big cities, and because there's a higher population of black and brown people, then start using that as a reflection of the whole country, because it's not a reflection of the whole country. And that's why for me, like, people are just petty. I've gone to places where I've not seen a black face in miles. It doesn't bother me, because I'm confident with who I am. I can stay in the Lake District. I didn't see one black person in the Lake District when I was there. I'll go to the Cotswolds. I don't see any black people there. I'm not moaning about it. I'm not saying, the country should be more diverse. It's about people. We need, the amount of narrow-minded people that are ruining this country. Let's just be honest. Everyone is going on about, yesterday I said to a guy on Facebook, all I said to him was, what are you doing personally to make the world a better place, instead of throwing hate out there? Because every single person that is just hating is just throwing out statistics, is just being, it's just the minority of people who are small-minded. Do you know what? If it was the small minority of people, then I would agree with you. But it's getting bigger and bigger now. I think because it's getting worse, because I think I'm seeing more blatant instances of racism than like you used to see. Now it's like people don't care if they're using the M-word. People don't care if they're putting up a picture of a monkey when it's not, people will do it. And then when people call them out, because there is a lot of people who are calling them out, they won't care. And also people will say things like, oh, well, you can call me racist, it doesn't. But anyway, I just think that people need to just really open their mind. Like, I'm quite a compassionate person. I've got quite a lot of empathy. I'm never going to be, you've put really well, maybe in some places then. Yeah, there's some places where it's just, yesterday I was sort of thinking, I was putting myself in the shoes of someone who is has either emigrated to this country. And also, when we're using the word immigration and immigrants as well, there is lots of people living in the UK that have come from France, from Australia, from America. I see lots of American accents, loads of people, Australian accents when I'm walking around, but also on TV shows, and they've said they've been living in this country. They don't get the same level of, and people are going to say, oh no, it's illegal, not legal. People just don't even know what's going on. They don't even have a clue what they even think anymore, because 1 minute there's not enough space for people. But then there's not enough space for illegal people, but there is for legal migrants. Then there's space for American and Australian migrants and South African, white South Africans. They're okay, because no one ever talks about the amount of those immigrants, or Polish immigrants as well. It's always down to black and brown people and black and brown countries. That's the part to me that's hypocritical. But also, yeah, it's about time that we just start not being so small-minded, basically. And I'm going to move on from that, because I could go on about this for another 3 hours. Because it's getting on my nerves now. It's got to the point where I used to go online and I used to have a bit of a dialogue. So someone would say something, and then we'd have a bit of a chat, and it would be respectful and reasonable. It would be, okay, this is what you think. I empathise with what you're saying. Now you can't even do that. Someone the other day said, Birmingham's gone down. I've left the area. I wonder why. Oh, I have to keep this person was going on and on and on. I have to shut my windows when car door when I'm in Handsworth. Oh, I have to be careful of getting mugged in this place. Oh, all the areas they were mentioning anyway, because I'm from Birmingham, that it was all the black areas. So I just thought, you know what, let's talk about this. Let's have a reasonable conversation. I mentioned that whenever Birmingham to me is a cool place to live. I've lived here my whole life. I've lived in Bradford as well. When my car broke down at one point, not this car, a car I had, it was two white men that got out of their van and they stopped and they pushed my car. So I didn't care what colour someone was. I needed help. They helped. When I'm walking around Birmingham, I was saying to this guy, if I'm looking a bit lost, someone will come over. You all right, love? I've had people put air in my tyres to help me. I've had people come over, direct me to places. I personally haven't had any issues in Birmingham. I've not been a victim of crime. Maybe years ago I had a few car damage to my car and whatever, and this sort of thing. When I'm trying to give examples and stuff, and then I said to the guy, so do you lock your car door when you're in Handsworth, or do you lock your car door when you're in Harborne, or in other parts of the city, or just in Handsworth? And then he had nothing to say, because what he's really trying to say is in the black areas it's more rough. But then I said to him, criminals come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all colours, all backgrounds, all ages. This is what people need to understand. A good person is a good person. A bad person is a bad person. It has nothing to do with their ethnicity. So we should stop judging people based on that basis, because you just judge people on how you interact with them and who they are. Anyway, so let's move on to Trump, because I need to talk about the war and all this sort of stuff. I'm going to try and keep this short as well. I'm in two minds about... So, one thing I still can't get my head around, that people actually voted Trump in as president for the second time. I still don't have any understanding. Well, I do have a bit of an understanding. Kamala Harris is a black woman, so she's got two things against her. Now, I know people are going to say Barack Obama. Yes, Barack Obama, there was no way he wasn't going to get voted in. It's not just about him being a black man either. This is about just how he presented himself. It was time. It was about time, even though Tupac said in his song, we're never going to have a black president, we did. Barack Obama, that happened. When Trump was voted in the first time, I was thinking, what's going on? But then the second time, I thought, has the world gone mad? Why? And the only difficulty I now have is I have American friends because they're on my Facebook page, but I don't know how to feel, because I'm kind of like, you created this monster, you voted for him. Back to Kamala Harris. I don't think America is ever going to be ready for a female president. I don't know if that's ever good. I think it is more likely that they would vote in. Look at Biden. Biden was old. He didn't really know what he was doing, but he was still a man. If a man runs against another man, then the likelihood is the man is going to win. But if a woman runs against, and then Kamala had the fact that she was a black woman as well, so you got that. There was no chance she was going to win. I mean, they said it was close. I've heard people say it was close. Now, the difficulty now is you've got someone who is mentally ill. Now, I'm just going to put it that way. He is mentally ill, okay? I'm a counsellor, so for me now, it's getting to the point where I've not got empathy towards him. I'm not going to use that word. I've got pity and sympathy because I do think he's losing his mind. Now, unless someone steps in, and that's either the American government or someone, this is just going to go really, really bad. It's already gone bad enough. The fact that you are bombing Iran. I mean, one of my clients lives in Bahrain, without giving too much information because it's confidential. I was having a counselling session with my client and they could hear missiles going off. This was a very, very, very scary time for people. This is an American person because obviously they're hitting back now at American targets. What Trump doesn't realise is you're now putting a target on Americans' backs wherever Americans live in the world. Because you've decided, you and Israel, because it's America and Israel, it's like when Tony Blair, remember when Tony Blair went to create the Iraq war, and most of the UK didn't want that war either. There was demonstrations, he did a vote, majority of people voted for us not to go to war with Iraq, and they still did. I don't think he knows what he's doing, and I think this is going to create such a massive this is bigger than we think it's going to be, because when you go to war with a Middle Eastern country, and also when you look at the countries that are surrounding it, as I said, the person who lives in Bahrain, you've got all the Middle East are going to come together to support Iran. But then you've also got Iranians living in other parts of the world. You've also got the fact that America, because this is an unjust war as well, they're creating a situation where the Americans are going to pay for the consequences. This guy's just doing all sorts of crazy things, and everyone can talk about Epstein and all this and why he's doing it and all the rest of it. I don't even think it's just to do with that. I think it's because he's crazy. I think that someone needs to step in and he needs to be sectioned. And I don't understand why he hasn't been sectioned by now. Look at the amount of things he's done, the sexist abuse, the fact that when he talks to reporters, he's talking absolute nonsense. He's going to factories and swearing and getting into fights with people. Putting up pictures of monkeys like to present the Obamas. He's lost his marbles, and I don't understand if that was obviously Boris Johnson, when he was the Prime Minister of the UK, was a bit all over the place. He wasn't crazy, he was just eccentric. Trump is crazy, properly certified mentally ill, and I don't know why someone hasn't stepped in yet and said we need to take control of this. And I hope someone does eventually, because if not, the world is just going to be it's already in a bad enough mess. We don't need any more of this. So the only other thing I want to talk about now is Gordon Ramsay. So, as you know, in another live stream that I did, it might have been a live stream or a recorded, I was talking about this Beckham feud, which I still feel sad. I feel sad for Brooklyn Beckham. I feel bad for David Beckham. Victoria, I think she's trying, she's putting up posters of Brooklyn now, and she realises now, Victoria Beckham, that this has gone too far. In fact, I should have mentioned Katie Price is another, that has to be another live stream. There's too much going on, but yeah, Katie Price is just going downhill. I feel really sad for her. She needs to be sectioned as well. I don't know why her family haven't sectioned her, but let's get back to the Beckhams. I feel sorry for them, but then Gordon Ramsay, I still watch his programmes. I was watching it yesterday, Kitchen Nightmares, I love that. I watched some of his, what else does he do? There's loads of programmes Gordon Ramsay does. I'm not gonna lie, I find him entertaining. I like when he's shouting at people. I do think he's arrogant, and I do think he puts it on sometimes when he's this is unbelievable, and he goes really crazy. He's doing it for TV, but he's entertaining to watch. This time though, he had no business getting involved in the Beckham stuff, and I don't think David and Victoria are going to be happy with him. Now, if he is Brooklyn Beckham's godfather, he's supposed to be there for his godson. Now, him saying something like Brooklyn needs to remember where he came from, and he's not doing the Beckhams a favour, because they're probably thinking, David, it's already bad enough. Our son isn't speaking to us at the minute. So how is that going to help? How is shouting at Brooklyn Beckham or trying to make him feel worse going to help him reconnect with his parents? He shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have got involved. And the other thing people are saying, he's a hypocrite, because they're saying his daughter's husband, Adam Peaty, is it? Yeah, the swimmer, has got issues with his family. So why? And anyway, to me, like, if you're a celebrity and you want to help another celebrity that's going through stuff, do it behind closed doors, but also know what you're doing. You're not, it doesn't seem like he's a mediator or a peacemaker. He's just made things worse. But yeah, every time I see like what's going on in the news about the Beckhams, I know that people are going to be like, oh, we're sick of hearing about them. And same as Katie Price. She's in MSN, because I don't watch the news. MSN I look at and I see that, and every day there's something about Katie Price. There's always stuff about Emma Raducanu. Sometimes it's good, sometimes bad, and there's always stuff about the Beckhams, probably every two to 3 days. I do feel sorry for Brooklyn, because I just feel like I don't think there's no coming back from this. I don't think they're ever it's ever going to be repaired now. Even if he was to split from Nicola, I think even if they got divorced, I just think he's just alienated. I don't think he wants anything to do with them now. And I think it's a shame. There was an article saying about his brother and how it's impacted on his brother as well, because he stopped speaking to his brothers. Interestingly, he hasn't blocked Harper, his sister. But she hasn't said much. I don't think she said anything. And he hasn't said why he hasn't blocked her, but he's blocked his brothers. There's something going on that we don't know about. There's something behind closed doors. I said in my last video, I think something has occurred. It's probably even way before he got married to Nicola. Something happened, I think, between him and Victoria. There's certain pictures when you see them together. David is always closer to Brooklyn, and Victoria almost seems like there's tension there. I think she's got her favourites, which is probably Romeo or Cruz. And then you got there's something going on. But anyway, that's the Beckhams. There's just too much going on in the world. As I said, I don't want to go on too much. But let me know what you guys think. I can see that people are saying you've put like, for example, I was sitting in a quiet coffee shop for a few weeks ago with my mate. She was a black girl. She rested her feet on my lap. And some young lads were filthy looking and saying why they're together. Yeah, I just think people are just... I don't even think, you know what I think as well? I don't even think deep down people have that hatred within them. I think they just feel like it's something to say, and they just feel like, because everyone else is saying it. You know, when things become the norm. So if you think about the Nazis in Hitler and the Nazis, if you think, I can't even say Nazis. If you think about certain times in life, same as like in the 60s or in the 50s, when there was lots of racism as well. When we're going through a period of time in history and certain people are doing things that they usually wouldn't do, the majority will join in with that, even if that's not their normal nature and their normal personality. Because I don't think as human beings that we're intrinsically rude, that we're intrinsically bad, that we're intrinsically hateful. As I've said, when I'm walking around on my day-to-day in Birmingham, no one bothers me. People are smiling, people are talking to each other. All this stuff that people are propaganda that people are saying online about there's division in Birmingham, and that, you know, this type of people are taking over and it's dangerous. You know, the amount of people that don't live here and they're talking about how, oh, you have to have a bulletproof vest to walk through Birmingham city centre. I turned around to someone the other day and I said, I wish people would clear Birmingham city centre, because every time I go there, it's packed with people. I can't even get a seat in a restaurant most of the time. Even during rush hour, the commuters are just going about their business. So if it's that dangerous, then do you know what I mean? There'd be less people in the city centre. So it's not there. There's crime everywhere. So it's back to this thing of just there's lots of people who have their opinions, but really, if they check themselves, we all just want to be loved. We all want to belong. We all just want to get along. I do. When I'm out and about, I just want to get along with everyone. I'm not someone that's going to just point and start causing trouble. But yeah, as you said, you've put maybe it could have been because her bare feet was on your lap, but I doubt it. I mean, it's up to you. It's your friend. If she wants to, if you're happy with her putting her feet on your lap, then yeah, there could be something to do with in public. People have this thing about bareness, don't they, and feet and this sort of thing. So it could be that. But the other point is, yeah, there is, no matter how much we've moved on, where there's lots of interracial relationships, there's still a minority of people that don't agree with it. And don't think it's acceptable. And I'm not saying it was a relationship because it was your friend, but if people were thinking, oh, why are they together? don't let things get to you. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to become hateful because of the hate that's in the world. I'm not going to become less compassionate because other people are less compassionate. I'm going to continue to do what I do, but I just think it's really sad. The other point, which I'll just end on, is this thing of you need to be the change you want to see in the world. So all these people that are moaning and complaining about immigrants, because to me, it's just an easy go-to, isn't it? The two easy go-tos are the world is messed up, so it's immigrants' fault. The world is messed up, so it's the government's fault. What are you doing to make a difference in the world? If every single person sat down and said, what am I doing to make my community better? What am I doing when I walk out into the world to make people feel better? What am I doing with my job to help others? What am I doing in the world to make it safer? If you thought about yourself and then you became the best person you could be, then you wouldn't care about what other people are doing because you'd be so focused on what you're doing. And then if everyone did that, then the world would be better, instead of moaning about like small pockets of people and saying they're to blame. Because to be fair, if Britain is broken, fair enough, the government, I'm not going to say that I'm a fan of Keir Starmer because I'm not a fan of his. All the political parties to me are similar anyway. When Conservatives were in power, there was things they were doing that were rubbish. When the Labour are in power, there's things they do that are rubbish. Whoever comes in next, if it's reform, they're going to do things which are rubbish. You know, the government personally doesn't affect my day-to-day life because the decisions I make are mine. But what people need to start doing is saying, okay, if we're in a broken Britain, then let's fix it. Let's fix it together, though. Let's not fix it by just complaining and moaning, because lots of these people that are putting up flags everywhere and that are causing riots and that are just being completely despicable with their language, they're the types of people that are not making Britain better anyway. Because I'm not going to just generalise, but a lot of them haven't got anything to do. A lot of them are unemployed. A lot of them are racist. A lot of them have come from deprived areas. I'm not saying all of them do, but if you've got time to go up a lamppost and put a flag up there, if you've got time to be going to protests and just be racist, if you've got time to be sitting online and just putting constantly racist vile language, then that means you don't have a life, or you don't have time to be doing things that are more important. You know, but let's fix this together. Just even those people, I would even engage with the people who are racist. Do you know what I mean? I'm not fearful of that. I've been in situations where I've confronted racist people. I've done that in my job as a social worker. I've been to areas where no one would go to. I've dealt with people that other people wouldn't deal with. I'm not scared of like actually sitting. I would even sit down with Tommy Robinson. I'm not joking. I would sit down with him and have a conversation. Do you know what? Because I'd want to get into his mind and figure out what is he talking about. And I know I could go toe-to-toe with him on the intelligence level. I could definitely have an intelligent... I could definitely... I would welcome that. Because you know what? I think freedom of speech is fine. But I just think, let's just let this be the year that we try and fix the country together. Let's stop causing division, because I don't think it's fair that certain members of the... of communities all over the country are probably in fear. You know, they're in fear of being attacked. They're in fear of being called immigrants when some of them are not even immigrants. You know, if I'm walking down the street and I've got this, look at this bag that I've got. This bag, obviously it's got African colours on it. I bought this from someone online. So obviously I'm walking with that sometimes. And then also, if you're looking at me, you're not going to know where I'm from. No one does. As a black and brown person, no one knows where we're from. They don't know if we were born here until we start speaking. Then they can tell from our accent. Why should you have to feel like, because of like the tension in the country, and I feel sorry for like shopkeepers, bus drivers. There's a lot of people at the minute, got people who are going to the mosque, who are getting attacked either verbally or physically just based on the basis of like what's going on in the country. And I don't think that's fair. I think we should just everyone needs to calm down. We need to see what happens with the next government. And then I want people to say if Reform get into power or if it goes back to Conservatives, because I don't think it's not going to be Labour. I want to know then what people are going to see the differences, or if things don't change, what are they then going to blame then? At that point, because Reform will make lots of changes if they come into power to do with immigration, and then I want people to start who they're going to scapegoat then, you know, and all these people using phrases like boat people and stuff. And I also think I'm still going on. I told you once I start talking about this stuff, but I am going to end in a minute. I just want to make this point, okay? People who there's loads of things I could say because I used to work for an asylum seekers team. And what I want to say to people is some of the processes that you think happen don't happen. When someone lands on a shore of any country illegally, they still have, the human rights law says that these people have to be processed and investigated. So what that means is you step off the shore and you have to be taken to, whether it's the detention centre or wherever hotel, people say these 5-star hotels, it's not 5-star, but you are taken to accommodation, and within that time, there is a certain amount of time that you have, this is the law, to find proof or evidence that this person is either, so if they come from a country where there's a war, then they still have to prove that they're at risk of, like, if they go back there, they're either going to be killed. You have to prove that you're a political target if you are. It's not a simple thing of just you come, you end up here, and then that's it, you're here forever. It's not that. Even when you're here for probably 6 months to a year, there's still a lot of proving going on. I'm actually working with quite a few people who still don't know their status, could get deported any minute, so you've got that side of it. The other thing is, when did we stop being human towards other human beings? Do you know what I mean? Instead of referring to people as boat people, out of all the people that maybe some people are probably taking the pee, and that happens everywhere, because there's some people that go to Spain from England because they're criminals and they know that they can't, so they move to Spain. Or to remember Australia, people from England used to go to Australia, and then the Australians would say that it's full of criminals. There's always going to be a small minority of people who take the pee and they're here for the wrong reasons, not just in the UK, but worldwide. Look how many people travel, emigrate everywhere. So I'm not going to pretend that every person that comes over to this country illegally is doing it because they're escaping things. Then you got the legal people who come over, or they're not, they come here using the illegal route. That could be through marriage. That could be through other means, so they've saved up enough money. They still have to go through, if you knew immigration law in the UK, then people would really stop saying some of the things that they say, because it is one of the toughest places to actually get legal status permanently. People think it isn't, but it is, because I've studied immigration law, and as I said, when I worked in that asylum seekers team, they're still going to give you probably a week in a hotel, or they're going to give you money for food or whatever, but you're not going to get status. It's not easy to get British status, and even then you still have to keep going through hoops. So what I'm trying to say to people is this idea that people just rock up and then all of a sudden they're welcomed and then that's it. That's not what happens at all. And so why don't we just start being human beings to people? Why don't we start saying, okay, even though I don't trust this person, and even though a few people that are coming here either illegally or legally are probably dangerous, or some could be criminals, or some, which I'm not going to sit here and say none of them, they're all innocent. How about saying let the government do its job, let the immigration officials do their job, and let us still have compassion for what about the ones that are here because literally, some countries in the world, just because you're gay, if you're gay, you're going to get your risk of being killed. I know quite a few countries in Africa and the Caribbean where you are at risk of being killed. So you want asylum, you want a place where you can be yourself. What about places where, because you speak up against the government in your country, your whole family is targeted, you're at risk of being killed? What about, we would want that for people in England as well, wouldn't we? We would want, if someone was at risk here, we would want them to have a safe haven somewhere. So I'm just saying to just be open-minded, because I just think things have got out of hand, out of control, and we just need to get back to just connecting with each other and just being a bit more compassionate. So I'm just looking at I can't see anything because the sun's coming through, but someone's put that's why we can't get reservations at hotels, immigration took over. That's not true at all. You can't get reservations at hotels. You can get reservations at hotels. Because the point is, not every hotel in the whole of the UK, and in fact, don't forget, certain hotels have been signposted specifically or have been allocated for people who are seeking asylum, and that's nonsense that you can't get hotel reservations, because I go to lots of places, I do a lot of short breaks. All you need to do is go on Google or TripAdvisor. There is millions of hotels that you can stay in. It's not because immigrants have taken over at all. That's not true. Someone's put Britain sent prisoners to Australia. Exactly so. Britain sent all the people they didn't want, all the prisoners, all the dangerous people, to Australia. The Australians not welcomed them in, but that's where they stayed, ended up staying. But no, I don't think there was the level of protest or the level of hate towards these British people that went over to Australia. But someone's put sad people. Yeah, that's what when you were talking about. But yeah, so anyway, it's just obviously I've gone on a bit too long with this. I didn't mean to stay on for this long. I said these are all topics that I could talk about for a while. But yeah, everyone's got a right to their opinion, so don't feel that you can't put your comments. Leave your comments, whether we agree or disagree. It's just a conversation. So have a good Sunday, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, my phone is falling. Take care, everyone. Bye.